Hello, everybody. Thanks very much for the introduction, and good to be here. So I'm going to talk quickly about some of the things that are going on in Boulder currently, and then we could maybe during Q&A talk about the longer-term future. But thought I'd highlight a few things. Actually, when Chris contacted me about this, asked that I talk about what's going on in the south of downtown area, or as some of the businesses who are located south of downtown have termed it the Soda District. This is the area south of Canyon Boulevard. It's actually the sort of the last frontier for downtown Boulder. If you go there today, you'll find a lot of surface parking lots, pretty underutilized land, some interesting old buildings, and actually a pretty vital set of businesses there. A lot of architecture design firms, some galleries, and some new coffee shops. But most importantly, what's there is actually a lot of city-owned land. Around the tea house, around what we call the atrium building, there's a lot of surface parking. We have some flood issues there that we're working out, but incredible opportunity area. And our council actually started a process actually before I came to town to look at this area and think about what its future should be. And at the time, it was a lot of concern about the potential density there, and what the discussion ended up focusing on really was on the public realm and sort of what are we creating in terms of the public space there, and creating a real a southern anchor for downtown, sort of the equivalent of Pearl Street Mall. What would be the thing that attracts people here? And how do we start thinking about Canyon Boulevard as the connector rather than the divider? So we've had a lot of discussion about Canyon Boulevard becoming a boulevard over time, learning from some of the public space mistakes we've made on the north side. If you walk along the sidewalk there, which most people don't because it's not a particularly successful pedestrian environment, how can we learn from that and create something that is really going to create some quality and create the opportunity and the desire for people to walk along Canyon and to walk south of Canyon to be there. So we've looked at some very basic massing diagrams, and really what the discussions come to is that we're not going to be looking to change any of the zoning there in the near-term future, but rather we're going to broaden the scope of the project and start a new project actually, which is really focused on the publicly owned lands there, which represents about 60% of the land south of Canyon that's in what we would term the downtown area. It includes our Civic Center campus, it includes the area around the tea house, includes a real important amenity we have here in Boulder, which is the farmers market area, which is a seasonal activity right now, but the farmers market actually would like to become a year-round activity. And sort of how do we conceive of that transforming over time and creating a real destination there? I'm not going to go into a lot of this, but we've looked at actually changing some of the setback requirements, which will actually slightly increase the density in this area, and actually in all the downtown zone districts. We're not touching the 55-foot height limit, but that's an issue for the voters. But here's the area today, and we actually did a presentation last week related to our comp plan update, where we're talking about things like local food and sort of imagining what might this area become over time if we were to adopt policies related to local food and look at this area possibly becoming the site for a year-round farmers market hall, a sort of a cultural destination south of Market. Again, a place that would really attract people and be the anchor for development in the south of the Soda District. Another area that I'm one of those planners who loves infill and redevelopment, and Boulder's the perfect place for it because that's all we have the opportunity to do here. There are very few greenfields left here. It's all infill, it's all redevelopment. One of the projects the city's been working on for a while is what's being called the Transit Village, and now we call Boulder Junction. It's where the train may eventually come, but most certainly a bus is going to come there. And so next year, actually, we hope to be breaking ground on the new regional bus facility in the Transit Village area, and that'll be one of the terminuses for the new regional bus rapid transit system up Highway 36. It'll be equivalent to the 14th Street station in downtown Boulder, but it'll be in the east of 30th Street area. So the idea in Boulder Junction, we've done upzoning in this area, and the idea is to spur redevelopment of this land into a new mixed-use urban neighborhood in Boulder, in what is actually geographically the center of Boulder. So some interesting ideas that have been developed over time, and I think a lot of people got really tired from the planning process, but we're very excited that we're actually in the process of now seeing some development proposals come forward. The development that's on the right side here, this is actually looking on Pearl Parkway. This is 30th Street here. Was just approved by our planning board a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or more ago. 3100 Pearl. It's about 320 rental apartments, and this is in addition to the development that's currently under construction at the residence at 29th Street, which is 240 rental apartments. It's really going to transform this neighborhood. I think you'll see that now if you go along 30th Street. That's going to be a 4-story to the sidewalk building in an area that's been pretty much dominated by car sale lots and things. And what you see on the north side is the site which RTD came to us with a proposal for a surface bus facility, a bus turnaround and a surface parking lot. The response from the city was, did you read the Transit Village document? It talks about being a village and about being an intense mixed-use urban neighborhood. So we were very happy to work with RTD. RFPs on the street right now for private-public partnership with RTD to do a mixed-use development on the site. We'll be hopefully getting proposals of some exciting ideas next month, selecting a developer in January, and hope to be seeing that project go forward in the coming year. So a lot of things going on in the Transit Village and several of the other properties there. The one that's probably going to be the longest is the one on the northeast side of the street there. You see the building with the green roofs there. That's actually the city-owned site, which is in a long-term lease with Pollard Motors until 2016. So we'll probably be the last ones to develop there, but at some point we'll be having a process to talk about what that should be. It's currently owned, was purchased by our affordable housing funds to be a mixed-use, mixed-income development. We just on November 2nd had passage of the creation of the parking management district for this area. So this is probably the first time in the country that a parking management district was created before there was any demand for parking. So it's quite an interesting process. We had some great help from some folks at EPS to figure out how to make that happen. And with the approval of that by the voters of the district, on November 2nd, this zoning is now in place. It's official mixed-use, high-density mixed-use zoning on most of it, with some parcels being high-density residential. High-density in the Boulder sense, 55 feet max height, but up to a 2-point FAR. And then we've also, this is an area where we're pushing the boundary in terms of some other things that we've been working on in low-impact development techniques for stormwater management rather than having large detention ponds, dealing with stormwater on site through a number of different techniques. We've adopted a public arts master plan. The RTD site will have about $100,000 going towards public art there to create this into sort of a lively urban district. One of the things that also was included in the RFP is to incorporate the depot building, which you'll see sitting awkwardly out there on a concrete platform right now. A little out of place, but that we hope some of the proposers will think about how that might be incorporated into the RTD development, and that eventually will have a street coming up next to it over a new bridge across Goose Creek, which it will no longer be sitting on a concrete pedestal at that point. And that's we've been working on the design guidelines for that bridge, which will be really sort of a centerpiece that ties the north side where the train platform will be and the south side where the regional bus facility will be located. And then other things that are going on, driven by the market really, is we've had a lot of discussion in Uni Hill, and actually some really great work between the neighbors and the businesses there over the last year. And some new projects that have come forward there. Two are actually nearing completion along 13th Street. They're infill development, retail on ground floor, 2 stories of housing above. And Jones Drug Building is no longer there. It's going to be replaced by this building here, which is going to again introduce residential uses into the heart of the commercial district, in addition to creating some new retail space on a very prominent corner across from the university. And a discussion we had on Tuesday began a discussion with council related to Diagonal Plaza. Bruce referred to this. This is the ownership pattern of the parcels out at Diagonal. If you've been out there, it's not a very attractive place. There's some great businesses operating there, but a lot of seas of broken asphalt, and one of the reasons it's not been redeveloped by the private market is that because of the property ownership pattern. So we had a discussion with council about what do we want to do as a city in relation to this site. We're going to be doing a technical assistance panel with ULI in the near future to query their minds and get some input, and then looking at sort of how this fits into our 2011 work program. But we do expect we'll be taking some next steps towards doing a blight study and potential city involvement in redevelopment of the site. And last, another project coming up, we have the one area of greenfield in the city. It's actually not in the city right now. It's called the Planning Reserve. This is the area that when the comp plan was done, the Boulder Valley Regional, the comp plan was an area identified as not really great agricultural land, not really great for other, in terms of environmental preservation, but an area for potential expansion of the city. And a process was put in place at that time in our comp plan policies, which was essentially a guaranteed way to get to know. And we've gone through that process a few times. And basically what we're working on right now in the comp plan update is to change that process. There's a way to get to yes. And if we do get to yes, then that would actually launch a pretty intensive planning process to figure out what this sort of last frontier for the city of Boulder should be in terms of the mix of uses, the intensity of uses. We've had some interesting proposals come forward in this area, but right now there's no utility extension plan. It's not in the service area. There's no road plan. So there's quite a bit of work to make that development opportunity happen, but it's something that we're going to be talking a lot about in the coming year. So those are some of the things, and Bruce also referred to, we do have another project which I don't have any images of, which we've been calling Sustainable Streets and Centers, which is really looking at our east part of the city in terms of how are we going to transform it over time into being an area that's not just corridors of high-density development, but really defined centers of higher intensity development, mixed use, that creates more opportunities for people to walk and bike from where they live to places that they work, consistent with our overall sustainability goals. And then the other thing that's been talked about a bit is with CU, we're working closely with them on their plans for East Campus, and actually if their plans for the north of Boulder Creek area just adjacent to here, where they're planning to redevelop and significantly increase the density of the student married housing area right near the Millennium here. Also addressing a number of flood issues which exist in that area, and hopefully creating much more connectivity with the adjacent neighborhood. And we've had some really, I think, positive conversations with the neighbors there. So that's a lot to throw out, but thank you very much.